Welcome back to another Kentucky Derby profile here on Racing Rundown. We have chaos on our 2022 Kentucky Derby Trail. That we avoided a lot of scratches throughout the entire 3 or so weeks leading up to the Kentucky Derby, and now we've had two this Derby week. We had one the morning that entries were taken, and then of course this morning, Ethereal Road, who got in because of the scratch of Unoho, came out of the Kentucky Derby this morning. Now, why am I saying we had chaos in the last few hours to go? Well, if you're not aware of how the also eligible system works, I believe it's 9 a.m. Central Time, so East Coast time or Eastern Time would be 10 o'clock in the morning. Uh, on Friday is the deadline for when also eligibles can get into the Kentucky Derby. So we were hours away from Ethereal Road coming out of the Kentucky Derby, and there only being 19 horses in this year's Kentucky Derby. Marty McGee of Daily Racing Form actually tweeted at 9:05 Eastern, so 8 o'clock Kentucky time, that he got a text from the trainer of Rich Strike that they acknowledged that they weren't going to be running in the Kentucky Derby, and I'm sure they were extremely disappointed. And then about 20 minutes later, they're thrown right back into the Derby. So, of course, we're talking about Rich Strike, as you can see right now. A cool horse to get into the Kentucky Derby, just for the connections that he has. Obviously, low profile connections. His trainer, Eric Reed, has been training since 1985, has never had a Kentucky Derby starter. If you've never heard of him before, you Zenyatta fans out there may know a horse named Satan's Quick Chick from some of Zenyatta's races. That horse was trained by Eric Reed. That's his only career stakes winner, and as I mentioned, a first Derby starter for him, a first Derby starter for jockey Sonny Leon. So good for them. This is what the Kentucky Derby does often. It gives these people who very low profile connections, even if their horse has no chance. It's always, I'm sure for those folks, a great pleasure even to have a horse in the Kentucky Derby. Not that I would know, I've never had a horse in the Derby, but I can imagine that is certainly something that they're very excited about. We'll get into him now. I've been blabbing about the circumstances that went into getting this horse into the Kentucky Derby. We'll take a look at his Equibase page right now. And this horse is not very good. 7 career starts, and only one of them was a winner, and that was against Maiden Claimers at Churchill in September of 2021. I am also going to say I'm not going to be doing replays for this because, full disclosure, I don't have the energy to edit all the replay stuff together. So we're just going to take a look at the race charts for this horse. We'll go to his maiden effort though, against Maiden Claimers, but he broke his maiden by 17 and a quarter lengths at Churchill Downs. And in that race, he was claimed out of it claimed off of Joe Sharp and Calumet Farm by the current connections who have him now. That's one of the few positives that this horse has. He's won over the surface at Churchill. Negatives, obviously, it was a one-turn mile, and it was against Maiden Claimers, and he's going to be running in the Kentucky Derby now, so not really a whole lot you can draw from that. Moving on to his next career start at Keeneland. It was an allowance race. He ran third there. Not a terrible effort, but not really. This wasn't really that good of an allowance race, all things considered. And then he's been against Stakes Company all the rest of the year. He's been on the Derby Trail, mostly through Turfway, but he did start in the Gunrunner Stakes. Was very much well beaten by Epicenter and the other horses in the Gunrunner Stakes. And he went to Turfway afterwards, and he's been running rather decent races at Turfway. This is their Turfway's January stake. It doesn't have points attached to it, but this is kind of the prep into the Battaglia, which is the prep for the Jeff Ruby. And he ran third in this race, beaten 3 and a quarter lengths. Once again, I mean, this horse has a tendency to hit the board in stakes races, but not really anything super impressive there. He's always well beaten in his races, even though he is hitting the board. And he's just kind of one of those points eaters that you get every year on the Kentucky Derby Trail. Moving on to his effort in the Battaglia, he was fourth in there. The good thing you could say about that is he's been losing to good horses. The horses on the Turfway road to the Kentucky Derby, maybe not dirt prospects, but they're good horses. Tiz the Bomb's one of the best turf horses in America. Stolen Base is placed in multiple graded stakes races on the turf before. He's going to have a good shot in the undercard race on Derby Day he's in, that's on the grass. And, moving on to the Jeff Ruby, he was fourth in the Battaglia, third in the Ruby. That's what got him into the Derby. He was third behind Tiz the Bomb and Tawny Port, and both of them, I already talked about how good Tiz the Bomb is. Tawny Port won a stakes race, so his back class is okay. And, I tend to look to try to find horses with somewhat decent back classes who are long shots in this Derby. I'm not saying that Rich Strike is going to be the long shot closer that hits the board at huge odds in the Kentucky Derby, but don't absolutely rule him out. Now, the figures don't bear that out. We look at the figures right now; they're not really anything super special. And he's also running it. He was also running in races at Turfway. However, if you've listened to anything that we've said this week about the Kentucky Derby, we have said that this Kentucky Derby pace is going to be a Georgia barbecue. And as you saw in the race charts, we'll go back to the Ruby, he was coming from 11th in that race. If he is coming from 18th, 19th, 20th in this Kentucky Derby, he's going to be in the outside post. That's the one issue that he has, is he is going to be in the outside post because he draws into the spot that Ethereal Road was in. But if he's going to be absolutely last in this in that back five, and they absolutely burn it down up front, which I think is certainly a possibility, then he could potentially come. He's going to come late. He's going to pass tired horses. He's not going to finish last. It's just a matter of how many tired horses is he going to pass. So I'm not saying that he's going to be your Country House or your Golden Soul, but at the right price, there was talk this morning about whether or not this horse could be 99 to 1. I don't think he's a terrible bet if you just throw a dollar show wager on him. Again, I talked about it with the Ethereal Road preview, and I talked about it on the Racing Rundown live show last night. If you're throwing $1 or $2 on these horses to show or to place, those place payouts for horses like Golden Soul and Commanding Curve and Country House, obviously I know because I was a beneficiary of that payout from Country House, but those payouts are pretty good for a very low risk investment. So worth a show wager at the right price, which I don't see any reason why he's shorter than 50 to 1. Absolutely worth a shot. I'm not saying he's going to hit the board or anything like that, but certainly is possible. As I kind of already talked about, pros, 17 length victory at Churchill, Ruby back class, and he'll get that pace in front of him. The cons, he's been running on Tapeta, and the Turfway shippers have been running good at Churchill, but this is the Derby, and his one career effort was against Maiden Claimers. And I mean, you look at the figures, they're not really anything to write home about. Although I will say one more thing about Rich Strike. If you listen to Racing Rundown at all this week, you know that my initial trifecta in the Kentucky Derby was obviously my pick White Abarrio on top of Crown Pride on top of Mo Donegal. Unfortunately, Crown Pride has lost all of his value this week because he's become the wise guy horse for the Kentucky Derby. So last night on the Racing Rundown live show, I said I was off of Crown Pride. And I threw Happy Jack into the trifecta. And I kind of just did that because he shares the same name. So I was like, okay, well, why not root for that? However, I'm going to make one more change. And I'm going to put this on the record right now. Rich Strike will hit the board in the 2022 Kentucky Derby. You heard it here right now. I laid out the case for it. They're going to fly down the backside in this Kentucky Derby. He's going to be coming late. Rich Strike will hit the board in the Kentucky Derby. I'm going insane right now with this take. I realize how hot of a take that is, and maybe it's being contributed by the fact that I had to do a preview for this horse at 11 o'clock in the morning on Oaks Day, but I can make the case for him. He's going to be a huge long shot. He's going to hit the board in the Kentucky Derby. Throw your show money on this horse. If it happens, you're going to get paid a lot of money. And with that being mentioned, that's it for the Racing Rundown 2022 Kentucky Derby content. Hopefully, I really hope that nothing happens between now and Derby Day that we have to do an emergency episode for, but we appreciate all the folks who came out, past subscribers coming back for the Derby profiles this year, and the new folks who may not have subscribed to us before. Appreciate you coming out. Everybody who was here for the Derby stuff, really appreciate it. Links below are down in the description to our Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks pick shows, as well as the playlist with all the other Kentucky Derby profiles. That is in the description down below, as well as the link to podcast Twitter, our personal Twitters, myself and Eric's Twitter, as well as the link to Racing Rundown podcast. You can get us wherever you get your podcasts at, and you can get all the content from Racing Rundown for pretty much every week. That's where we put most of our content up into our podcast, so be sure to check us out there. Rich Strike's going to hit the board in the Kentucky Derby. We'll see you next week when we recap all this stuff. Have a good one.